Let's get it. This is Eternal Underground Production. So shout out in the zone, baby. Y'all know what it is, man. You're now tuned in to the Hodge Sports Show with a pick on the target sharper than Katniss Everdeen with a crossbow. Before you place the bet, let's check with Patrick and Sean first. Unless your aim is that, highly advised. Check the store right here. Forget the mother stations, we got you covered. Don't waste your time. Ain't no need to straddle the fence. Now you can take a side with competition where you think a gazelle can take a lion. If you in opposition, just listen. It will change your mind. This where you catch him right here. And every show a banger like Ray Lewis at the quarterback. Got open forms, you got it top it. We'll trust it. God, don't come on here talking that nonsense and don't know nothing. No hesitation, get put in your place. End the discussion. Ain't no shit coating over here. Keep it 100. Got a question? We gon' come with the answer like Irishman. If you ain't know then, you know now just what time it is. Sean, reppin' the city of brotherly love. Stand up, Super Bowl 52 champions. Baltimore in the building. Sports pack got Charm City on his back. Putting on for the like Cal Ripken Jr. back with the Orioles. And he's spoke, we found the balance. From his knowledge, from his college, go to follow. Shout out to you. Without you, this impossible. You rock with us, we rock with you. I love for us, I love for you. Much love to the fan base and follow the fan base. It's deeper than sports talk. It's something like family. Ever and be more. Let's get you a crab cake. Oh, you in Philly, say less. Bring you a cheesesteak. Now run and cut it.
What is going on, everybody out there in the sports world, sports universe, sportsplex, whatever you want to call it tonight? Listen, I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. There is football on tonight. My Sixers are on right now. You know, Doncic is looking like crap. Ben Simmons is lighting him up. I ain't got a co-host tonight because Patrick has got other obligations tonight. I started the show early so I can end the show earlier, right? Started the show at 9 so I can end it at 10. But, heck, we might even end it earlier depending on what happens. This is going to be the first time I run the show a little bit differently. I don't have any plans on how I'm going to do it. I don't have no notes, nothing. I don't have a way I'm going to run the show. I figured that I'll just make this completely kind of a potpourri kind of show. You know, whatever anybody wants to talk about, bring it forward. Type it on a Facebook page. Call up to the show. The information for that's attached right to the link. If you need that, it's 888-531-8305, and the PIN number is 50317. You can call up and ask any question you want. I figured it's football time, right? We saw the Vikings lose today, right? And I want to say that I'm shocked, but are we really? This has kind of been Kirk Cousins' MO this entire time. I mean, his entire career, right? Kirk Cousins' MO has been, you know, choking the big important games. But he came up big last week against the Saints, real big, at a time where you didn't think he was going to. And I want to hear more from Vikings fans on this, and I want you guys to let me know. Do you really think Kirk Cousins is to blame here? Because anytime a team, you're going to that halftime, you're down 14-10. You intercept Jimmy G at halftime. Danny chimes in. No one is shocked the Vikes lost. Niners D-line too much. It's not the fact that you guys lost. I'm interested in the fact of how you lost more so than you lost. You lost to them 14-10. You were went into halftime 14-10. You intercepted Garoppolo at halftime to go into the game. Got a field goal out of that to make it 14-10. You had all the momentum on your side. Then you come out of half and you lay an egg. I don't think you guys scored a single point after halftime. That, I think, is more shocking than anything. Do you think they got away from the run too much? Do you think he wasn't, I saw a text earlier that said, did you just see Thielen just completely stop running that route? That's what I got to know is did the team give up on Kirk Cousins? Because we saw Stephon Diggs throw a little temper tantrum last week after he didn't get a target. And that's just, diva receiver being diva receiver. I never seen a receiver cry as much as Stephon Diggs was last week after being in the lead. Right? Like, he was complaining that he didn't get the ball thrown to him, but his team was winning. So to me, that's a selfish player doing selfish things. I think, it's been pretty obvious that Diggs has been unhappy there almost all year with Kirk Cousins. And I couldn't tell you why. Danny, again, I'll ask you, because you see the other resident Vikings fan, why is it, if you have more insight on that, on why Diggs was upset so much, it seemed almost all year there, and upset there all year in Minnesota. And maybe, I'm not sure what his contract situation is off the top of my head. I can't imagine that the Vikings are just going to let him go, though. But with a security blanket like Thielen, it wouldn't be like it wouldn't be a huge hit to them. But yeah, moving on, we got the Titans right now, kind of shocking the world, right? The Titans right now, they're up 14-0. Last I checked on that game, 14-0, and Ryan Tannehill, they quit a little. There you go, Facebook. I don't know who the Facebook user is. They quit a little. The Sherman pick took the air out of the sails. But did that Sherman pick come? They were up already. They were already up like 24-10. They were up 2 scores. Wasn't that when the Sherman pick happened, right? And like I said, the Ravens, they are down here, right? The Ravens are down 14-10, 14-0. It's probably frustrating for Diggs. You can tell Cousins favors Thielen over Diggs. I think Diggs just wants to get involved more. Diggs thought he was open. Sometimes he was, and sometimes he wasn't. That every receiver. You show me a receiver in the entire world that doesn't think they're open on every single play. Every receiver ever will never ever tell you that he wasn't open. Never. All right? Every receiver always going to tell you he's open. Just like every shooter in basketball is always going to tell you they were open when they took a shot. All right? Just like every NBA player has never been called for a foul in their life. All right? That's 101. Every receiver's open all the time. Get me the ball and we'll catch it. That's what every receiver's going to tell you. But yeah, I'm going to get to this Baltimore game, because this Baltimore game, it's funny to me because Lamar Jackson's my dude. I mean, I've made it pretty obvious all year. I love Lamar Jackson. I think he's the best quarterback in football right now. He's going to win MVP this year. And, he's really struggling today. Really, really struggling. And I think it's a lot to do with Tennessee. Tennessee has a very, very, very stout defense. And Ryan Tannehill, plain and simple, this is what I've been trying to tell Tennessee fans all year, my co-host Patrick Hodge as well, is that Ryan Tannehill was the best backup in football. Plain and simple. He shouldn't have been a backup, period. And I think this year has showed it more than ever. Ryan Tannehill should not have been a backup. He is a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's a very competent quarterback in the NFL. He's extremely accurate. He can hit the long ball, and he's good inside the pocket. I mean, is there ways to beat him? Of course there are. There's ways to beat every quarterback in the NFL. But Ryan Tannehill, I think, has found a home and a spot on this team to where Brown's got to catch that, to where he now is in a good spot. He's in a very good spot in his career now, to where he's going to get a nice lucrative contract here. And Derrick Henry's going to too. Him and Derrick Henry are going to get a very good lucrative contract out of this. And on top of that, they're going to be in Tennessee long term. The thing I'm curious about most now is, what happens to that boy Marcus Mariota? Because he's out. He's gone. Tennessee ain't keeping him. He's gone. He's not coming back. If I had to put my guess on it, it's going to be an absolute, shot in the dark. I think he's going to the Windy City. And if you don't know what the Windy City is, Google it. And just to save you some time on the Google, Mitch Trubisky is the quarterback of that team. But I don't think he's going to be the quarterback of that team as of next year. Either they're going to just outwardly cut him, or he's going to be the backup. And they're going to sign Trubisky they're going to sign Mariota to be their starter. Which I still think is a bad move, because I don't think Mariota is a good quarterback. I think he gets hurt too much. I think he's very, very fragile. People want to come at Carson Wentz for being fragile, and I've actually quoted this and saying that I think, Carson Wentz is Marcus Mariota with more skill. It's very, very, very frustrating when you watch a guy that may or may not have talent, but you can't ever tell because he's hurt every single year, and it always seems like he's nursing an injury and nursing an injury and nursing an injury. This is the same thing we used to say with Andrew Luck over here and all the time. This is why Andrew Luck wound up quitting football altogether, right? Because he was so sick of having to deal with this stuff in the offseason. You look at these quarterbacks like Marcus Mariota being one of them, who's going to, like I said, be out of a job in Tennessee very soon. You look at him and you go, is how much more is his career really worth it compared to his health? You know what I mean? Like, he can only keep getting hurt so much until he gets that Andrew Luck point where his body has to matter more than this football career, right? I gotta imagine that he's getting close to that point, because I can't tell you the last time I watched a Tennessee Titans game and was looking at that and was like, oh, Marcus looks healthy tonight. I can't remember a time in his entire career where I watched the Titans play and was like, yep, Mariota looks healthy today. And it's a shame because he had such a bright future coming out, but now it's just a question of when will he hit that wall in his career? Time will tell. We will see. But I'm gonna keep going and say that I think Tennessee's going to finish this game off. I don't think Baltimore is going to win or come back. I think you're going to start to see Baltimore implode a little bit. You're going to start to see players fighting against each other, because let's not get it twisted. If you look at Baltimore's defense, they have a lot of hostile players on their team. What I mean by hostile players, I mean a lot of players that are really ready to fight somebody really quick. They're really ready to get some people that are ready to get in somebody's face. It only takes one more score when you're down 21-0, right? So you got Earl Thomas, or you got Marcus Peters, both yelling at people together. I'm just saying, man, if Tennessee scores another touchdown on the drive after this one, and they go down 21-7, 21-0, whatever it might be, 21-3, that third touchdown is going to have the Baltimore defense really question itself, which is strange because since acquiring Marcus Peters, Baltimore's been the second best defense in the league, right? So since acquiring Marcus Peters, they've been the second best defense in the league, and Tannehill's kind of got him right now, got him on the ropes. And 6:50 left on this drive. They really need to get a touchdown in the end zone here. Right now, Mark Jackson with a good pass. If they don't score, you might be right. Honestly, like I hope I'm not. I hope I'm wrong. So you want to see a good football game, especially after this morning or this afternoon, I should say, when you're watching that Minnesota San Francisco game and it goes into halftime. You're like, all right, 14-10. Then it's San Francisco the whole second half. You expect the playoffs every single game to be good, and especially with the wild card round. I mean, the wild card round, that was probably one of the best wild card rounds we've seen in years, right? We haven't seen a wild card round with every one of the games that close in years, right? You had Philly, Seattle separated by a touchdown. Two of the three other games went to overtime. Come on, you can't ask for anything more, right? But then actually think about it in hindsight. Like tomorrow, you got a decent set of games as well. You have Green Bay playing Seattle, which is Aaron Rodgers versus Russell Wilson. That should be a phenomenal game. The two of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. Two of the best quarterbacks. Probably you would have a valid argument if you said to me two of the best quarterbacks possibly of all time tomorrow. And people always want to give Russell Wilson flack, but I think Russell Wilson has accomplished so much with so little in Seattle on an every single year basis, and I don't think Russell Wilson really gets the credit that he deserves. I'm going to say the same thing. AR-12 is my favorite. That's my boy. Man. I'll defend AR-12 to the day I die. I think he's the best quarterback I've ever seen play the game. So that alone in itself should be a phenomenal matchup. And oh my God, I'm blanking on the. Oh, you got Houston and Kansas City tomorrow, which Big Red. What was it? Kansas City, since Big Red has been since Big Red has got there, they are 1-7 in playoff games, and their one win is against the Texans. Find that kind of funny, right? So you want to sit here and say, yeah, they can win because they're the better seed. Mahomes is a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson. Andy Reid's a better play caller. Who's got the better defense? It's a coin flip. Do you go Kansas City because they're at home? Do you go Houston Texans because I can't think of a reason to pick Houston other than Kansas City might implode tomorrow, like they do every single year in the playoffs. Would it be a disappointment to NFL fans if Ryan Tannehill versus Deshaun Watson is the AFC Championship game instead of Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson? That's the next question I have. Because I almost think it's like a slap in the face to NFL fans, right? Ryan Jones immediately jumps in after that, says yes is all caps, right? Like I feel like it's a slap in the face, right? Like you the two quote unquote best quarterbacks all year in Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson on the two best teams in the AFC lose today and tomorrow. You get Ryan Tannehill and Deshaun Watson, right? I don't know. Like even the two teams, right? Like Tennessee versus the Texans doesn't even sound like it's not even like appealing. And I might have Tennessee fans coming at me. I don't even care. Like it's not even an appealing game, right? Like you think about like, all right, it's a division game, but both the franchises are pretty bad, like historically bad, right? Texans are a little bit newer. Tennessee, you got to go back to like the Houston Oilers and stuff with Mara Moon, but like realistically, it's two historically bad franchises. I guess the only plus out of that is one of them is going to get to the Super Bowl, and then probably lose to one of the teams coming out the NFC. You would assume, right? And I can say like the same thing for the NFC. Like I think that the best game of the entire playoffs you're going to see tomorrow in Green Bay and Seattle. I think the last time Green Bay and Seattle played each other, Seattle won the Super Bowl that year. I think that was the Legion of Boom year, if I'm not mistaken. But I think that's going to be the best game of the playoffs. I think that's going to be the quote unquote Super Bowl of the playoffs because of when one of the two quarterbacks going at it, and two, how good both the teams have been all year. I think Seattle, I don't want to say got shafted a little bit, but they had a really rough end to their season there. They dropped 4 of 5 to finish their season, and basically let San Francisco kind of walk away with the division because they just dropped 4 or 5, and then won in Philly because Carson. All you can say because Carson got hurt. I think that Seattle and Green Bay is watching Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers go at each other is something you dream of, right? Like that's like a match. That's like watching. We never got to see Drew Brees go at Tom Brady, right, in the Super Bowl. We never got to see Aaron Rodgers go at Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So I don't even think I've ever seen Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees go at each other in the playoffs. I think this is like almost kind of like the best it gets, right? When you get Aaron Rodgers going at Russell Wilson. I don't know how it gets much better than that. You get two dominant quarterbacks of their eras, both going at each other. I don't know. I'm just looking at it as I'm excited to watch that one at least, and I'm thinking I'm just going to lean more towards the size of Green Bay because it's in Lambeau. And if I'm going to go, since I already said I'm going to pick Kansas City because they're at home, and I'm picking Tennessee here to finish this off. And like I said, Baltimore only got 3 points. Only got a field goal out of that drive, and there goes Derrick Henry. There he goes. Just threw Earl Thomas down, spun him around. Oh, my God. Baltimore is just not ready for Tennessee. Derrick Henry is just too big, too strong, playing for that contract. So it comes down to then is, do I think Tennessee can beat Kansas City, or do I think Big Red is going to get to that second Super Bowl? The Philly fan in me wants to see Big Red win the Super Bowl. We got ours. He can go get his now. We had you for 14 years. You did nothing for 14 years. You overstayed your welcome more than anything. I'm cool. I think he should get his. That's where I'm at with it. I'm okay with him getting his. But I have a soft spot for the Niners because that was my pop's favorite team. So I'll be rooting for the Niners no matter what. I don't know, wherever their journey takes them, I'll root for them every single week. I'll root for the Niners to win, and I hope they do, only for my pops, and that's the only reason why. Other than that, I'm a diehard Eagles fan, but for my pops, I'll root for the Niners, and hope that they win. Moving on, I do want to get into some basketball because I find it interesting, and it's something I noticed today while I'm like flipping back and forth between the Baltimore game and the Sixers game, is that Doncic plays as much defense as James Harden does. Well, yeah, of course, Michael, of course you can't root for Kyle Shanahan because he came from Atlanta. Like, of course you're not going to root for him. Of course not. I mean, like I said, my mom, listen, you got to root for. But, yeah, because I'm saying, Doncic literally, I don't think I've seen Doncic play a single bit of defense. He literally let Ben Simmons run by him 2 times already, at least tonight. And he's got 4 turnovers already, and not even halftime. For as great of a scorer as he is, and, for as great of a player as he is, he doesn't really do much else, And I want to say that this is kind of like the new NBA where guys care more about scoring than they do playing defense. But then, you see guys like Kawhi Leonard, who's such a great two-way player, Anthony Davis, a great two-way player, Joel Embiid, a great two-way player, Ben Simmons, a great two-way player. You see all these kind of cats in the league, Paul George, another one, all these dudes in the league that are just such great two-way players. And then you see, the James Hardens, the Luka Doncic's, the Kemba Walkers, these guys that literally just want to go out there and just score and score and don't even think that there's a whole different side of the court. And it's frustrating. You think it's because he's having to do everything else. Danny, I need you to elaborate on that. On you think it's because he's having to do everything else. What do you mean by you think he's having to do everything else? I think when a player decides that he wants to play defense is a mindset. Either you want to play it or you don't. It's a 150% a mindset. If you want to get into the mindset that you're going to get your ass down low and you're going to actually get in the defender's face, body him up, and actually play defense, there's no NBA player that cannot play sound defense, or they want to be in the NBA, plain and simple. You have to be an athlete to be in the NBA. You have to be an athlete of the most superb upper echelon athlete to be in the NBA. So in order for you to do that, I figure you're quick enough to play defense. Defense is a little bit of everything. It's instinct. It's more willingness than everything else. You just have to have a willingness to want to do it. Danny chimes back in. Like, he's putting up monster numbers, and it seems like he doesn't. If he doesn't, Dallas loses. Okay, he's putting up monster numbers. He is putting up monster numbers on the offensive side. It's this. You're not going to like this comparison, but it's the Russell Westbrook numbers. It's the I got 30, 10, and 10, but we still lost. Those kind of numbers. You know what I mean? Like, it's the kind of numbers where, yes, he's putting up a lot of numbers, but he's putting up a lot of numbers in kind of like a hollow kind of way to where he's scoring. I'm trying to think about the best way to put this. He's doing everything on the offensive side to make sure that he can score, but then he's giving up on the defensive side just so he can score. And he doesn't need to do all this to score. The team around him is not a bad team around him. He has a very solid team that's put around him. Now, he doesn't have a team that I think is better than either of the teams in Los Angeles. I don't think he's better than Utah. I think Utah's actually got a bad start, but they're going to start coming back. I think Dallas is probably the fifth or sixth best team. They just got off to a super hot start. And as the season progresses, I think you're going to see Utah and Denver both pass them. So they'll drop to the 5th seed. You might even see Houston pass them too. That's debatable. Michael chimes in, defense is a lost start, but you don't have to play defense. But you have to play defense in the playoffs. But it won't be good enough. Refs tend to let things slide. Refs tend to let things slide in the playoffs, and this is what somebody brought up a thing about the Bucks earlier today, and I was like, the Bucks seem good right now, but wait until the Bucks actually get into the playoffs where those lanes that Giannis likes to take clog up, and Giannis isn't that same player in the playoffs anymore because he can't get to the lanes as quickly as he can because every team in the playoffs isn't the Chicago Bulls or the Detroit Pistons. You're playing the Phillies, the Miamis, the Bostons, the Brooklyns. You're playing solid teams every single night, and this is where you said defense is a lost art. I don't think so. I don't think defense is a completely lost art. I think, like I said, players choose if they want to play defense or not. Like if Kawhi isn't the greatest two-way player in the world, Toronto doesn't win a chip last year. I meant offense won't be enough in the playoffs. My bad. You're right. Offense won't be enough in the playoffs. I agree with that 120%. Just being a great – I mean, you've seen this with James Harden already. The reason James Harden didn't advance to the finals 2 years ago when Chris Paul got hurt is because Chris Paul's a great defender. Whether what you guys want to say about him or not, Chris Paul's a great defender. And not having Chris Paul and Steph Curry hurts Houston and allowed Golden State to win 2 straight. That's the part that people don't understand is you could be the greatest scorer of all time, but at the end of the day, scoring isn't the only thing. The reason that MJ and LeBron are so great is because on top of being great on offense, they were able to get back on defense and play defense as well. LeBron, not so much in the last couple of years, but it seems like he's getting that back with LA, with AD, and I think a large part of that is because he's playing with Anthony Davis, who plays such great defense on an every single night basis, and I think he probably demands it more. Also, though, I don't think Anthony Davis stays in the Lakers, but that's a whole different discussion for a whole different day. It's really, really interesting to me when people want to keep talking regular season. Like, let's be real. The regular season only really matters for home court up until a certain point for basketball. And we can be 100% honest about it. That's the truth, is that in basketball, it's about making the playoffs to a point. Most teams only care about making the playoffs just so they can have home court, but home court doesn't even always benefit you. I mean, again, I'll point right back to last year with Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors, number 2, knocking off Milwaukee to get to the finals and winning it. But, I mean, you go back to every single year of a team winning the finals, they've always had great defenders on their team. Every single one have had great two-way players. Two-way players is what wins championships every single year. People can say what they want about Golden State being such a great offensive team, but Klay Thompson's a great two-way player. Draymond Green, great two-way player. Kevin Durant's probably one of the most underrated defenders in the entire NBA. Plain and simple. If you want to believe me or not, go look at tape. Steph Curry's defense is shaky, but you have 4 other guys on your team that can play defense. You'll be all right. Go back to the Cavaliers. Cavaliers had a lot of good defenders on that team when they won. Channing Frye was a good defender. LeBron James, good defender. Kevin Love is good against big men. Now, I'm not going to say he's a good defender against like guys like Kyrie or Steph Curry, but he's a good defender against other big men. Two-way players that will always run the NBA and will always matter. That's why the guys that are great scorers don't ever win, and they will never win. It's plain as I don't know how to make it any easier for people to understand. That's why these numbers that Giannis put up are so magical and great. I don't even want to keep saying Giannis. Giannis is a pretty good defender too. So Giannis is probably my exempted. James Harden. Let's go James Harden. The numbers James Harden put up, they're all wonderful and great, but in the long run, James Harden doesn't play. He plays little to no defense. He's trying to get better at it every single year, but it still is always lacking. So I cannot see he will never win a championship with his style of offense. And players that go to him, like Russell Westbrook this year, who didn't really have a choice to, he was traded there. Chris Paul a couple years ago, same kind of scenario. These are the kind of players that won't ever win because you're playing next to a guy that plays selfish ball. He plays, and once you start playing that selfish ball, that's when your team's destined to lose. You start playing hero ball. And anybody that's ever played basketball knows exactly what hero ball. Everybody knows what that dude in the Y that's playing hero ball by himself does. Yeah. So it's was it 14-3 now. They got the ball. Baltimore's got the ball back. Now this drive's huge for Baltimore. Because if they can get this down and make it 14-10, then guess what? Baltimore's right back in this game, and that 14-point deficit. You're going into basically, let's just say you're starting a whole new game. It's 4-0. You're starting a whole new game with a slight handicap, 4-0. Right? Simple as that. And it looks like, Ingram's got his helmet off, ice around his leg. I think Ingram's out for the game. Probably we'll find that out at halftime. It looks like Ingram's going to be done for tonight. What are you throwing that to? Brian Jones chimes in. No Ingram. Brian, is Ingram done completely? I see him with his helmet off on the side. I'm assuming that he's done based off of what I'm looking at. I'm vast assumptions. I'm going to shoot back. Basically what I thought. One more thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm probably going to wind up popping off. I know this is earlier than when people thought I was going to be, but like I said, I'm so focused on watching football and basketball, it's hard to even pay attention. But this is something I really want to get into, and I've been wanting to get into it with anybody for a while, is everybody that wants to sit here and tell me that questionable examined at halftime. That's what I thought, Brian. Anybody that wants to sit here and tell me that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can't work together need to re-examine their basketball knowledge in general. It's not Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can't work together. It's Ben Simmons needs to shoot the ball. And until Ben Simmons actually shoots the ball on a regular basis and is able to help out with the spacing, then Ben Simmons will ultimately – what's going to happen first is going to be 3 steps. 1 is Brett Brown's going to get fired. 2 is if they still don't work after a new coach comes in, Ben Simmons gets traded. They're not going to trade Joel. He's arguably the best player in the NBA. They'll trade Ben before they trade Joel. And here's the other thing is Ben's worth more than Joel probably is. And until Burke finished stronger. And it's over. Until Ben actually just starts shooting the ball, just plain and simple, then Ben and Joel will basically constantly fight each other. The reason that Ben looks good when Joel's not in the game is simple. Joel and Al Horford both need to be in the paint. When Joel and Al Horford are both in the paint, Ben has to basically sit in the corner. Once he's sitting on the corner, he's completely useless. Why? Because he doesn't shoot. My simple solution to this is I think the coach should set up plays that are designed for him to shoot the ball. Now, I'm not saying shoot threes. I don't think he needs to shoot threes. I think he needs to shoot the ball from the free throw line in. All the coach needs to do is start setting up designed plays, 2 or 3 a game, to where Ben Simmons can get the ball, the corner of the key, put it up. Logo, put it up. Something simple. Or the guy setting the pick, runs around, there you go, turn around and shoot it. Until that starts happening, where he starts getting more comfortable shooting, then this problem is just going to continuously persist. But we shall see. Guys, like I said, I think I'm going to hop on out. It's 30. We've been doing this for a little bit now, and I'm just too focused on football and basketball, and there ain't nobody else really to rock with me on it. So, it is what it is. Thanks for. Why won't he shoot? No, Danny, you asked the question. I'll answer it. Why won't he shoot? I think he's scared. I personally think Ben Simmons. I don't want to say he's scared. I think Ben Simmons thinks that he's better than everybody else on the court without shooting it. So why should he have to shoot? And that's the ultimate problem. I think he's arrogant. I think he's extremely arrogant. He thinks that he doesn't need to shoot to be better. And because he doesn't think he needs to shoot to be better, he's not going to. And that's the ultimate problem in his that's quite literally what I just said. It's arrogance, just plain and simple. I think he's a kid. He's still 23. I think he's an arrogant kid that thinks that he is better than everybody else, and he's just going to do what he wants. I don't know what it's going to take. I want to say it's going to take like a really bad playoff game, but he scored 1 point in the playoffs 2 years ago. That didn't seem to bother him. I don't know. I'm sure all of you out there have all played basketball before. I don't know what the first thing I did when I picked up a basketball was dribble. The second thing I did was shoot. I mean, I thought that was like, step one, step two. I have 8 and 9-year-olds that I coach that know when they get open, shoot the ball. It's not a hard concept. When you have space, you shoot the ball, so you make the players respect you enough to come out and guard you. It's not a hard, and that's the thing is earlier when I was talking about the playoffs and how those lanes get smaller. Well, for Ben Simmons, they get really small because players back off of him and don't start guarding him to the free throw line because he refuses to shoot. And because he refuses to shoot, players don't see the need to pick him up. There's no need to respect anything about his game when you can take away his entire half-court game just by stepping off of him. So when Jared Dudley said he's an average player half-court, Jared Dudley wasn't 100% wrong. Fans, especially Philly fans, wanted to say he was wrong. But realistically, when you think about it, he wasn't 100% wrong. When he's not on a LeBron complex, he's had offensive build around him. He's not used to being second option. Well, Michael, here's the thing. In our offense, in the Sixers offense, he's the third option when it comes to scoring. I mean, Embiid's 1, Tobias Harris is 2, and then he's 3. Just because he brings the ball up every time, don't get confused on what option he is to score. He's our third, maybe even fourth scoring option on the team. Because I wouldn't even say that Josh Richardson is more of an option than he is. And I think that's again, but the way that the options are laid out is, then what's the problem? The problem is that he's our point guard. He brings up the ball. Imagine this. All right, I don't even imagine this. Listen to this. Rajon Rondo, for how horrible of a shooter he was, guess what he still did just to keep the defenses honest? He still dribbled the ball up the court and shot it. And I saw this stat somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but the Celtics record, the Big Four Celtics, their record with Rondo in the lineup and with Rondo out of the lineup is astronomically different. Like, they were one of the best teams in the world with Rondo in the lineup. Then with Rondo out of the lineup, they were mediocre. Because that's how much a great point guard means to an NBA team. And the Sixers need Ben Simmons to take that next step. I don't even see the next step at this point. It's just the next shot. Just shoot the dang ball. Because if you're open and you have space, shoot it. I said this to a buddy of mine. He's the most frustrating good player I've ever seen play the game of basketball in my life. Because you know how good he is. You know how his potential and how great he can be. And the sky's the limit for this kid. And if he were to develop a jump shot, he'd be the most dangerous player in the league. But then you watch him, and you're just like, you're open, shoot it. Shoot it. What are you doing? And you start yelling at the TV. At least I do, because I'm crazy. I start yelling at the TV, trying to tell him what to do. Oh, my God. It's the most frustrating thing trying to watch this dude play. But, like I said, Danny, I think it's an arrogance thing with him. I think he just needs – I don't even know how to fix it at this point. I don't even – like I said, I think Brett Brown needs to force it upon him. And if he doesn't do it, then Brown should sit him. And that's what I think the solution is. If he's not going to do what the coach tells him, sit your butt down. That's my answer. That's what I got for you. And with that, guys, I think I'm going to shoot out of here. Y'all have a wonderful night. I'll catch y'all next week. Patrick should be back. It should be me and him rolling. We're going to go back to our normal time then at 10 o'clock. Until next week, guys, I'll catch y'all later.